Hi friends, welcome back. This is CA Devang Kothari and we were learning the subject of costing. Today we are starting a new chapter, that is a chapter called as standard costing. Now this chapter is one of the most important chapters in your subject of costing at CA inter level. Important because number one, in almost every exam there will be confirmed one question from this chapter, and also more important because even in CA final level this chapter exists same plus of course in CA final level there will be extended version of the chapter. But when I said that confirm one question comes in the exam, well, that is not just in inter exam, even in CA final exams there will be confirmed one question from standard costing in your CA final exams. Yeah, hence this chapter is even more so important. Right now we are learning this chapter standard costing for CA inter level. Yeah, so what this chapter is about? Well, name of the chapter standard costing. Now what is this chapter about? To understand that, I'll take one example here. Say, remember when we did the budgets chapter? In the budgets chapter I told you that why did we make a budget. I'd also given you example regarding, say, that Goa trip wala example. You all wanted to go to Goa, so I made that example regarding Goa trip. And in that example you saw that I made a budget, I made an estimate that what will be my expected expenses for the trip. Then at the end of the trip I will compare my budget with the actual. Now why should I compare my budget with the actual? Well, you compare your budgeted cost with the actual cost to see that how much extra cost have you incurred, so that you can take necessary steps to improve your cost, or to see that how much extra cost you have incurred, so that you can take necessary steps to prevent that extra cost next time. This time your trip is already done, this time the year has already ended, next time you can be more careful. Well, that comparison between budgeted cost and actual cost is called as standard costing. So my chapter of standard costing is all about comparing my budgeted cost with the actual cost to find that difference and to analyze that difference. That difference, what we will calculate, budget and actual cut difference, that difference will be called as variance. Let me write that here. That difference of budget and actual will be called will be called as variance. And this chapter is not just about calculating this variance, it is about analyzing that variance. Analyzing meaning finding reasons that why did I incur this variance. Yes, so this chapter is more about analyzing that variance into many further reasons. Hence this chapter can also be called as the chapter of variance analysis. Another name for the chapter, this can also be called as chapter of variance analysis. Now chalo, to understand what all things we will be learning in this chapter, as of now, just as introduction, I create one example here. Now trust me, this example explains the entire chapter of standard costing at your intermediate level. Yeah, so listen carefully. Say say for example I had made budget of my total cost of the year. I made a budget for my total cost of the year, and my total cost budget turns out to be, say for example, my budgeted total cost was, for example, rupees 1 lakh. Now when did I make this budget? This budget was made at the beginning of the year. Yeah, now at the beginning of the year I made this budget. Then by the time of end of the year, by the end of the year I will get to know the actual. Say for example, actual cost in that year turns out to be rupees 70,000. Now your budgeted total cost was 1 lakh, actual total cost 70,000. So tell me, is that good or is that bad? Yes, that is good. Why good? Because your estimated total cost was 1 lakh, actual you have incurred only 70,000. Meaning you were able to complete the year in lesser cost. In other words, it seems that you have saved cost. How much cost did I save? How do I calculate how much cost did I save? Well, to identify the savings, I compare budgeted cost, actual cost, and find the difference. Difference, instead of 1 lakh, I actually incurred only 70,000. So how much cost did I save? I saved the cost of rupees 30,000. This 30,000 difference, savings difference, is called as variance. The word variance means difference. This 30,000 difference of budget and actual is called as my variance. Acha. And here in this case, this 30,000 variance, is that good or is that bad? Well, 30,000 variance here, it is definitely good. Why good? Because I have saved cost. Look, when I talk about cost, it will be good if I can decrease the cost. Yes, here I have decreased the cost. Instead of spending 1 lakh rupees, if I spend only 70,000 in the year, meaning I saved some cost, it is good. Good means favorable. Favorable is denoted by putting F after the variance, and because this is favorable, it will have what impact on my profit? Will it increase my profit or decrease my profit? Well, ultimately it will increase my profit. These are the symbols you should write every time when you express a variance. So my variance is expressed like this. You have to write these symbols. You have to write that the variance is positive, which indicates that this will improve your profit, and you show that it is favorable, which is just indicating that it is a good variance, it is a favorable variance. Yeah. So this 30,000 is called as my variance. But then this is not the direct calculation. This is not the only calculation. Let me give you some more details in the same example. What if in the same example I give you some more details? I give you details about production units. Imagine I say that my budgeted cost of 1 lakh was for budgeted production of 10,000 units. My budgeted cost of 1 lakh was for budgeted production of 10,000 units, but my actual cost 70,000 written there is actual of the year in which I have actually produced only 6,000 units. Possible or not? Yes, possible. I had planned to produce 10,000 units, but I could actually produce and sell only 6,000 units. Maybe because the demand turned out to be less, maybe because you did not do proper marketing, maybe because your customers did not like the product, whatever. I had thought that I will sell 10,000 units, but I could actually sell only 6,000 units. So my budgeted cost was the budget of 10,000 units. Actual cost is actual of only 6,000 units. Now, notice again. Now, if I give you this units information, now do you think this comparison seems correct? Now, do you think it is correct to compare 1 lakh with this 70,000? No, because this 1 lakh is the budgeted cost of 10,000 units, while 70,000 here is actual cost of only 6,000 units. Now, can I compare the budgeted cost of 10,000 units with actual cost of 6,000 units and say that 30,000 rupees I have saved? Does that 30,000 actually indicate a savings? No. Why not? Because look, this decrease of 30,000 is definitely because of the decrease in units. Is that actually your savings in cost? Is that actually your achievement? No. This comparison is a wrong comparison. If you remember, this same logic, in fact with the same example, we had discussed in one of the questions of budget chapter. In budget chapter we had done that in question number 7, classwork question 7. We did that same logic. I told you in that question also that question 7 was, I can say, it was an introduction of standard costing chapter. I didn't tell you that time. Now I'm telling you. In that question also I said the same thing, that I cannot compare the budgeted cost of 10,000 units with actual cost of just 6,000 units. If I want to compare, then at least the units have to be same. If I want to compare, then at least the units must be same. Chalo. To make the units same, I give you two options. To make the units same, I give you two options. You tell me which is the correct option. Say, to make the units same, option 1 is that I make a new budget. I make a new budget. I make a budget of 6,000 units. Now tell me, if I can identify budget of 6,000 units, then can you compare budget of 6,000 with actual of 6,000? Yes, because the units are same. In short, for doing this comparison of cost, your base has to be same, units has to be same. I cannot compare the cost of 10,000 units with the cost of only 6,000 units. Yes, this decrease in units will definitely indicate that there is decrease in cost, but that decrease in cost is not your achievement. Yes, okay. This was one option, that I make another budget so that the units turns out to be same. Or chalo, another option. Instead of making another budget, what if I make another actual? I identify actual of 10,000 units. If I can calculate actual of 10,000 units, then can I compare budget of 10,000 with actual of 10,000? Yes, because now the units are same. Well, you can compare budget of 10,000 units with actual of 10,000 units if you can find actual of 10,000 units. But the problem is, this is not possible. It is not possible. You can never find actual of 10,000 units. Why not? Because in this year, your actual production is 6,000 units. If this year your actual production is 6,000 units, meaning by the end of the year, by the time of ending of the year, you have produced only 6,000 units. Now, can you find actual of 10,000 units? Can you find actual cost of 10,000 units? No. Can you cross multiply here? That 6,000 units actual cost is 70,000. Then 10,000 units actual cost should be what? Can you cross multiply? Well, you can do the calculation of cross multiplication, but that will be still wrong. Why wrong? Because look at my words. 6,000 units actual cost is 70,000. Then 10,000 units actual cost should be what? Should be. The word should be itself indicates that now that will not be actual. Even if you calculate that, it will be should be. Should be meaning it becomes an estimate. So remember, you can never calculate actual cost of 10,000 units here unless you actually produce 10,000 units. You can never calculate actual cost of 10,000 units based on actual cost of 6,000 units. Even if you do calculate, it will not be actual, it will become estimate. So simple hai, you cannot identify actual cost of 10,000 units unless you actually produce 10,000 units. Now in this year, you have actually produced only 6,000 units. Your year has already ended. Now, even if you produce 4,000 units extra, it will not be this year. It will become next year because this year has already ended. In short, remember one golden rule now. This golden rule applies not only to this chapter, this golden rule applies to entire subject of costing. The golden rule that whenever in my subject of costing, whenever any actual data is given, never touch the actual data. Never touch the actual data. You can never change the actual data. You can never find a new actual out of the given actual. Never touch the actual data. If this actual data is not comparable with the given budget, then also you cannot change the actual. What you can do is you change the budget. You might have to change everything else in the question, but never change the actual. This is my first basic golden rule that I give you here, that in my entire subject of costing, never ever touch the actual, never change the actual. You change everything else to match with the actual. Done? Yes? Okay. So with that conclusion, I realized that actual you cannot change. So only option is that you create a new budget like this over here. Now, how do I identify this budget here? Well, chalo, let us identify this budget by simple cross multiplication. That 10,000 units budgeted cost was 1 lakh. Then 6,000 units budgeted cost should be what? Well, 6,000 units budgeted cost should be therefore 60,000. If 10,000 units budgeted cost was 1 lakh, then 6,000 units budgeted cost should be 60,000, and then my actual will be compared with this revised budget. My actual will be compared now with the revised budget. This will become a more correct comparison. I compare 60,000 and 70,000 and see the difference. Now the difference is 10,000. But this time, this 10,000 difference, is that good or is that bad? Well, now it is bad. Why? Because my budgeted estimated cost was 60,000. Actually, I have spent 70,000. You had planned to spend only 60,000, but actually you spent 70,000, meaning you have spent more. Extra cost is incurred. Extra cost, that is not good, that is bad, that is unfavorable, not favorable, that is unfavorable. I will say that is adverse. Now to indicate that it is adverse, you put an A beside that, and this adverse, what effect will that have on your profit? Will it increase your profit? Will it decrease your profit? Well, naturally, if you have incurred extra cost will always decrease your profit. So you put a minus sign above before that to indicate that this 10,000 will be the decrease in my profit. Is that very clear? Yes, this is the more correct comparison to find your variances. Now, in the entire chapter, we will be doing such type of comparison. Hence, chalo, let me give certain names to the headings over here so that I can derive a formula out of it. Look, right now in my example, this was called a budget. This is also called a budget. So there might be confusion that which budget am I talking about. Well, that is why I changed the names. Look at the names that I now give. Now onwards, in every question, you will have names like this. We will give names like this. The budget originally given here, I will call that as standard as given in the question. I name that as standard, that is standard as given. As given matlab as given in the question. While the revised budget which I calculated here, this revised budget of 6,000 units that I made, I will name that as, this now becomes a standard cost for actual production. Now these are the names you have to remember. These are the names, standard as given, standard for actual production. These are the names I will be using throughout the chapter. So conclusion, if I have to compare my actual cost, I will compare actual cost with standard cost. Yes, but I will compare actual with which standard? I will compare this actual with which standard? I will compare the actual with the standard cost for actual production. Understand that words, standard for actual production. Look, this 1 lakh is my standard as given in the question, but this 60,000 is the standard cost for actual production. Actual production is this 6,000, and if actual production is this 6,000, I will bring that 6,000 over here, and and I make a standard for that 6,000. This 70,000 is actual cost of 6,000 units, while 60,000 is standard cost of same 6,000 units. So what I am comparing is actual cost of 6,000 units with standard cost of 6,000 units. Standard cost of 6,000 units means standard cost for actual production. Do you understand these names? Standard for actual production. Yeah. So conclusion. Now if I make a formula, conclusion is that variance is equal to what? Variance is equal to standard cost for actual production minus the actual cost. Standard cost for actual production minus actual cost gives me this variance as 10,000 negative, 10,000 adverse. This is what we will be doing in my entire chapter of standard costing. Yeah, so this chapter is also named as variance analysis, because what we do in this chapter is this. What we do in the chapter is compare my standard cost with the actual cost. But will I compare my actual cost with any given standard? Will I compare this actual cost with any given standard? No. You compare that with which standard? You compare that with standard for actual production. This is the most important calculation so far. Done? Yes? Okay. Now, like I said, my chapter here is not just about calculating the variance. My chapter here, it says variance analysis. Now, what analysis is needed over here? Well, analysis needed over here is that this 10,000 adverse variance I need to further analyze. Further analyze means now I need to search reasons that why did I spend 10,000 extra? What was the reason that I spent 10,000 extra? Like remember in that Goa trip example, if I planned a picnic, if I planned a trip with my friends and at the end of the trip I realized that the cost incurred is more, then I will further search out that why did I incur extra cost? What could be the reasons? Imagine in that Goa trip example, what could be the reasons of my extra cost? Natural reasons, don't tell me weird reasons that you might think of. Say naturally, if my trip expense has exceeded the budget, it could be either because number one, I spent more money on traveling, or because I spent more money on accommodation, or because I spent more money on food expenses. Ultimately, my trip expense contained these three components: food, accommodation, and traveling. So if extra cost is incurred, it can be extra because of either of these three reasons. Once again, if my total cost contained three components, if this total cost contained three components, that is travel cost, accommodation cost, and food cost, then this extra cost here, this extra cost 10,000, this extra cost 10,000 will also be because of this extra 10,000 will also be because of either of these three reasons. This extra 10,000 will also be either because of extra cost incurred in traveling, or because of extra accommodation costs, or because of extra food expenses. Yes, we need to identify these component reasons. So that was for the Goa trip example. Here in this chapter, I give you a general assumption. Here in this chapter, I give you a general assumption that my total cost in this chapter contains four components. This total cost contains material cost, labor cost, variable overheads, fixed overheads. Now, if my total cost contains only these four components, and I say that my total cost has increased by 10,000, then this increase might be because of either of the four reasons. This increase might be either because of extra money spent in material, or because extra money spent for labor, or because of extra money spent for variable overheads, or because of extra money spent in fixed overheads. Well, this chapter here, as I said, is not just about a variance calculation, it is about variance analysis. Variance analysis means that I will not just calculate this 10,000 variance, rather I will further identify that out of 10,000 extra cost, look, adverse variance indicates extra cost, so I need to further identify that out of this 10,000 rupees extra cost, how much was the extra cost incurred because of material, because of labor, because of variable overheads and fixed overheads. Yes, this is the calculation we will be learning in the chapter. Now, how to do that calculation we'll see further in the chapter. Right now this is just introduction. So let me give you assumption that, for example, out of that 10,000 adverse, out of that 10,000 extra cost, what if I give you calculation, what if I give you that out of that 10,000 adverse, 7,000 adverse happened because of material, another 4,000 adverse happened because of labor, another 1,000 adverse extra cost happened because of variable overheads, while In fixed overheads, I saved 2000. Well, yes, this calculation is what we will be learning to do in the chapter. But how to do the calculation, we'll discuss further in the chapter. Right now, I just want to discuss that why should I do this calculation? Before I tell you how to do the calculations in the chapter, right now my purpose of this example is to explain to you that why are we doing this chapter. Look, every chapter that we start, in every chapter, I will not give you just the calculation part. Like I told you on the very first day, I need more conceptual clarity from you. You might have done such calculations maybe in your colleges, but what you might have done is that somebody gives you a formula, you just apply the formula. I will not do that. I will not just give you the formula, make you memorize the formula. No, rather I need to give you the logic behind it. And the logic starts from the first fact, that why are we doing this? What are we doing? That you can easily remember if you know why are we doing this. Think about it. Why am I identifying? Why am I splitting that 10,000 into these further calculations? You can see that it matches 7,000 negative, 4,000 negative, 1,000 negative plus 2,000 positive will match with 10,000 negative. So basically this 10,000 adverse I have split between 4 categories here. What does this indicate? Why did I calculate this? Well, this indicates that out of 10,000 extra cost, 7,000 extra cost happened because of material. Out of 10,000 rupees that you spent extra, 7,000 rupees you have spent extra only for material, 4,000 rupees you spent extra towards labor, 1,000 you spent extra towards variable overheads, while in fixed overheads you saved 2,000 rupees. Now what is the benefit of doing this working? Your year has already ended. The year has already ended. Now what is the meaning of comparing actual and budget? Well, simple. Now you compare actual and budget, see the difference 10,000, analyze that difference into further reasons so that you can be more careful in the next year. You can be more careful in the next year. Tell me, in this calculation, looking at these answers now, what will you take care next year? Looking at these answers, what will you take care next year? Well, simple. Looking at these answers, I can say that next year I should be more careful spending the material cost, because you see that majority of my extra cost this year happened because of material. So next year I just need to be more careful while spending the material cost, little careful while spending the labor cost. But variable overheads, fixed overheads in the next year, I need not be more careful. I will let it remain same as what we had this year. So for material and labor, I need to be extra cautious in the next year, because these are the reasons where due to which majority of my extra cost has happened. Well, this is called as variance analysis. This is called as variance analysis. You know, this is something similar to what you do when you appear for some test or exam. I had given you this example in budgets also. Listen to this. Say if you appear for some exam, 100 marks ka paper is the exam. You have written full 100 marks ka paper, assuming that. But after writing 100 marks paper, say your estimated, you make budget. After writing the paper, you estimate that how much will you score. Say your estimated score in the paper was say 80. But when the paper was checked and given back to you, assuming that the corrected paper is given back to you, say the actual score you got was only 50. So you see the variance is here 30. Now when you see that your score is 30 less than what you expected, when you see that you have scored 30 marks less than what you expected, will you just leave it? ठीक है, चलो 30 marks कमाया, ठीक है, छोड़ दो, भूल जाओ. Will you just forget it? No. What you will do is you will study the actual paper, you will study the corrected paper here, and you will search that where did you lose that extra 30 marks. You will search out that in which chapter, which question, which calculation did you lose that extra 30 marks. Why will you search that? Because you want to find your mistakes. The best way to learn is to learn from your mistakes. Remember, I have told you this earlier for your general tips and suggestions also, that the best way to learn my subject is to learn from your mistakes. Well, mistakes you will find if you analyze your actual year. So when you get the corrected paper, you will study the paper, search out that where did you lose that extra 30 marks, so that in the next exam, those chapters you prepare better. You search out that where do you incur extra cost here, so that in the next year you be more careful while spending that material cost and labor cost at least. Yes, this is my purpose of standard costing chapter. Yeah, in fact, during this chapter, say material, I found that 7,000 is the extra material cost incurred. So out of 10,000 rupees extra total cost, 7,000 rupees is extra material cost. But well, my chapter calculation does not end there. What I will further do is, what we'll also do is that this 7,000 extra material cost can have further two reasons. Think about it. Why did I spend 7,000 extra material cost? What could be the reason? Well, either I incurred extra material cost due to two reasons. Either I incurred extra cost because I paid more price for that material, price per kg, or because I used more quantity of material. So within that 7,000 material variance, we will find price variance, quantity variance. We'll learn that bifurcation. That bifurcation indicates that out of 7,000 extra cost, how much extra cost did I incur because of extra price paid, and how much extra did I incur because of extra quantity consumed. In fact, within that quantity also, within this quantity reason also, I will later give you two more reasons, but I will not name them yet. Right now, I can just show you that therefore, we will be learning 5 such variances under material. Which 5 variances? The first one, total material cost variance, under that price variance and quantity variance, and 2 more under quantity variance. Total 5 variances we will learn under material. Similarly, we will learn 6 variances under labor, 3 such variances under variable overheads, and almost 6 variances, 3 and 3, yeah, 6 variances under fixed overheads, 7 rather, 7 variances under, okay, let me keep it 6, 6 variances under fixed overheads. These all variances we will be learning. So this entire learning will be only half the chapter. Yes, this entire thing that I discussed here is just half the chapter, but don't worry, remaining half of the chapter you don't have right now at CA inter level. Remaining half of the chapter you will have at CA final level. Yeah, so right now for CA inter level, this is your entire chapter. So this entire thing that I discussed here summarizes the entire chapter, summarizes everything that we are going to learn in the chapter. This everything that we are going to learn in the chapter, it is nothing but cost variances. Then in final level, you will learn about revenue, that is sales variances, profit variances and all that you will learn at CA final level. Right now at CA inter level, this example here summarizes the entire chapter. Done? Yes. Now with this introduction, one by one, we will start learning each variances. First, we will be learning about material variances. I'll give you formulas. I'll give you formats how to calculate. We will practice some questions of material variances there. Once we are done with all practice about material variances, then we will go for labor variances, then variable overheads, and last fixed overheads. That will be my full chapter here. Yeah. Anyways, this was just an introduction for the chapter. This example explains my basics about this entire chapter. Done? Yes. Okay. Before I go on, I need you to copy this example, copy everything that you see here. I will zoom out so that you can see better. But I need you to copy everything that you see here that will be considered as introduction to my chapter. Yeah, please copy that. Yes, should be done with that example by now. Now, the first set of variances we will learn, chalo, but before that, the concepts that I gave you so far. Sorry, but before that, the concepts that I gave you so far here, let me just give you that in the form of some class notes. Again, you can see that at the end of your chapter, I've given you certain class notes. These class notes contain all the basic general rules and logic and theory needed for the chapter. Yeah, needed to solve questions in the chapter. So what I gave you so far was just a basic introduction. Notice here, standard costing is a method of cost control. Remember day one, I explained you what is cost control versus cost reduction. Cost control means to control my actual cost, bring it down till the estimate. Now, how do you control your actual cost? By finding mistakes, what you did in actual. How do you find mistakes? By calculating the difference. Yeah. So standard costing is a method of cost control, meaning to find the difference between standard and actual cost and analyze those differences into further reasons. Now there are a few basic definitions that I give you. Standard cost means the ideal cost that is estimated to be incurred. Okay. Actual cost that is actually incurred by the end of the year. It is identified from the financial books of accounts. So where will I get the actual cost from? Do you calculate the actual cost? No, you will get that from the financial accounts. Actual cost you will get from the financial accounts, not from the cost accounts. Yes, you will get from the books of accounts. And when will you get that? You will get that at the end of the year. Third, standard cost for actual production. This was my main term. I explained that term. It is the standard cost that must be incurred if actual units were produced. Your standard cost given was of 10,000 units. You calculated standard cost of 6,000 units. That was called as standard cost for actual production. Yeah. And variance is standard cost for actual production minus the actual cost. This variance can be further analyzed into component reasons as material variance, labor variance, variable overhead variances, and fixed overhead variances. Right now, we will start with the first set of variance, that is material variances. Regarding material variances, I'll give you some set of formulas. But look, I will make the formulas on screen here. You can also start writing the formulas. Yes, I want you to start copying the formulas. But I will not explain all formulas first. Rather, we will understand the formula directly with the help of a question. Because look, I don't want you to memorize the formula. Rather, we will pick up one question and we will derive the formula with the data of the question. Yes, we will derive every formula from the data of the question. Look, what I want is that by the end of this chapter, there will be lots of formulas. By the end of the entire subject, there will be obviously even more formulas. So if you try to memorize, if you try to mug up ratta marte ho formulas, then it is very much possible that you will forget the formulas soon. But especially for this chapter, what I suggest is you don't need to memorize any formula. If you understand the logic, understand the method that I explain, then almost every question in this chapter you can calculate without the formula at all. You can calculate every question here even without any formula if you understand the logic that I give you. Yeah, logic I will explain with one question here. Yeah, right now you first just start copying these formulas that I give you here. We'll just copy down the formulas first. Consider this as your formula chart for material variances. Right now, when you're just copying the formulas, you will copy this as just a formula chart. So you need not leave this space in between here. I am leaving space because I will be giving my explanations, will be solving questions in that. Yeah. Right now, you just copy down this as a formula chart. Yes, please, we'll discuss. Now, this is my first set of variances, material variances. As of now, I will just discuss the names of variances that we have here. First one is material cost variance. It indicates what? It indicates that how much extra material cost did I incur. Yes, how much extra total material cost did I incur means material cost variance. Within that, we have material price variance, material usage variance. Price variance indicates that how much of this extra cost happened because I paid more price, and usage variance here indicates that how much of this extra cost again happened because of extra quantity used. So look, if my total material cost has increased, exceeded, it might be either because I paid more price or because I used more quantity. So the extra cost because of extra price paid is called as material price variance. This is interpretation. And the extra cost because of extra quantity used, consumed, is called as material usage variance. Under each of that, we will learn some formulas. Formulas I'm not explaining yet. We'll explain that when we solve one question. And within that usage variance, I have two more names called mix variance and yield variance. Material mix variance, material yield variance. But these two, please understand the chart that I have made. These two are categories under the usage variance. But these two are little advanced discussion. We'll talk about it later. Right now, I will create one example in question number 1 itself. We will solve question 1, and within that question 1 itself, I will explain these first three variances here. Yeah, like I said, right now I have not explained the formulas, especially this formula and this formula, because I will explain that with the data from question 1. Yeah, acha. But the first formula here, material cost variance, this formula, you understand, we've already done this formula. We've already done this formula. We did this formula, that standard cost for actual production minus the actual cost. Well, this was the same formula I gave you in my example over here, that variance is standard cost for actual production minus the actual cost. Same formula you see over here, that MCV is standard cost for actual production minus actual cost. More precisely, I would say here that material cost variance, MCV, is standard material cost for actual production minus actual material cost. Yeah. Now, as I said, to understand these formulas, we'll try directly one example. We'll try one question from the book. But let me tell you, for this chapter of standard costing, every question that we solve in this chapter, we will be solving them according to mostly such formulas. But before you apply these formulas, in every question, I will ask you to make a table called as data table. Yes, so in every question of this chapter, my calculations will be done in two steps. Like for question 1, my calculation will involve two steps. Step 1 is that I make a data table like this, and step 2, I will do the variance calculations like this. Variance formulas are same as what I gave you in the formula chart earlier, but before we apply these variances formula, we need to identify correct data from the question. Data from the question I will put in a format like this. So first, let us understand this format here. You will not write yet. At the end of all my discussion, finally last May, I'll give you time to write. That is when you copy. Until then, first you just understand. Look, only first question I will stop you from writing. Next question onwards, anyways, you will be doing the calculations. I will just be explaining. Yeah, so this question, just have some patience, listen to me, listen to everything that I have to say. First, in every question we will make a data table like this. See, what does this data table contain? In my data table here, I will show standard as given, standard for actual, and actual. Standard as given meaning the standard cost as given in the question. Standard as given means the standard cost exactly as mentioned in the question, while actual cost will also be mentioned in the question. But like I gave you the explanation earlier, can I compare my actual cost with any given standard? No, you compare actual cost with the standard for actual production. For example, say in my earlier example, I had given you standard cost Just a moment. Say I had given you standard cost as 1 lakh rupees and actual cost was say 70,000, but the standard cost given, was given for, it was given for how many units? It was given for 10,000 units production. That standard cost given was given for 10,000 units production. Just a moment, this is too small for me to write. Yeah, better. The standard given is given for 10,000 units of production, but actual cost 70,000 that you had, this actual 70,000 was for 6,000 units production. So conclusion, can I compare my standard cost of 10,000 units with actual cost of 6,000 units? No. What you had to do was you need to create standard for actual. So what you did was I created standard for actual. Standard for actual was created for 6,000 units production, meaning this 6,000 units, which is your actual production, you bring that 6,000 units here, this 6,000 units from actual, you bring it over here and you make a standard for that 6,000 units. Now how do you make standard for 6,000 units? Well, you can cross multiply. Remember, now this is material cost. Material is a variable cost. You can easily cross multiply. You can cross multiply saying 10,000 units, material cost is 1 lakh, then 6,000 units, material cost should be 60,000, and then you compare this 60,000, this 70,000, this gives you your material cost variance. In fact, that was the formula we did. Material cost variance formula was standard cost for actual production minus the actual cost, meaning this standard for actual 60,000 minus actual 70,000, 60 minus 70 will give you negative 10,000 adverse. Yes, chalo, this explains our very first formula. And well, this also explains my data table format. Notice in my data table format, this is what I want. Standard as given will be given in the question like this. Actual will also be given in the question like this. But standard for actual is the most important thing that you have to find. My data table contains 3 tables inside. First table is standard as given. Second table is your standard for actual. And the third table actual. First and third table will be given in the question. Second table you have to find, because only that table is what you compare with the actual. Chalo, within that table, notice I have written quantity, price and amount. That is kgs of material, price per kg and amount. You will show quantity, price and amount separately under each table. Plus, if there are more than one types of material, maybe my company is using 2 types of material, material A, material B. If there are 2 types of material, then you will show all the data separately for each type of material. Is that very clear? Now, once you fill up this entire table, then we will learn the variance calculation part. Trust me, after solving a few questions, you will realize that variance calculation is not difficult. In fact, in every question, variance calculation will be exactly the same. Same formulas you have to apply. But in every question, what is challenging, what is more challenging is to make this data table. This data table will be the more challenging part in every question. This data table will be the more important part in every question. Done? So my discussion right now in this question is first we will read question 1 from the book, and the data from that question 1 we will put in this data table. And once your entire data table is full, then I will start explaining the formulas. Done? Yes? Okay. But please do remember, making this data table is the most important part of the chapter. Making this data table is even more important than calculating variances. You will realize that later, by the end of the chapter, you will realize that if at all you make mistake in this chapter, it will be always mistake in making the data table. If your data table is correct, then trust me, you will then never make mistake in calculating variances after a few questions practice. Yeah. Okay. Now, before I start with that, let me also tell you that look, this chapter standard costing, there can be various different methods of solving this chapter. I can myself give you at least 5 different methods to solve this chapter. But naturally, I will not give you 5 methods in class. I will give you one method in class. And listen to this. I want each and every one of my student to always follow only my method in this chapter. There are other methods also, and yes, other methods are not wrong. I don't say that these other methods are wrong. You might have learned other methods maybe in your previous classes, or maybe you might have learned other methods in your college classes and all. The chapter you'll get in college BCom also. But I suggest that if you are attending my class, I suggest every single student of mine, you should follow exactly the method which I am now going to give you. I'm clarifying this right now because generally the problem with you students is that you learned some method in other classes, then you learned some method from Devang sir. Well, that other method is not wrong. Devang sir's method is also not wrong. But if you mix these two methods, then definitely it will give you wrong answer. Yes, 90% of the time students make mistake in this chapter because you mix up different methods of the chapter. Well, that is why I recommend that especially this chapter, you do not study from any other book ever. You follow exactly what I give you here. My methods will perfectly give you exact same answer as any other book. Methods are different, answer will come the same. Yes, if you look at any other methods, you might find the methods similar, but trust me, they are not similar. You don't have the capacity to understand difference in the methods, so you might make mistake by mixing the two methods. My only request to you is that please strictly follow exactly the method that I give you here. Strictly follow exactly the format that I give you here. Yeah. Anyways, with that, let us look at question number 1. Question 1, we'll see the data and then we'll put that data in my data table format. Simple data given, dekho. Question 1, they say calculate material variances when 2000 units of finished goods were actually produced. 2000 units are units of finished goods and 2000 units are finished goods actually produced. Now notice in that data table format that I gave, in this data table format that I gave, there are two places where you mention quantity. There are two places where you are mentioning quantity. This heading over here is also quantity, and this quantity column here is also quantity. But what is the difference? Well, the quantity which you write in the heading here will be units of finished goods because it refers to production. Production means FG quantity. But the quantity which you write in this quantity column here will be the quantity of raw material, will be the kgs of raw material. Please differentiate that. Look, in previous chapter, budget chapter, I had one question where you had been given material quantity as well as FG quantity. You had to differentiate in the both. In this chapter, you will have that in every question. In every question, you will be given quantity of finished goods and you will be given quantity of materials. Please differentiate which is FG quantity, which is material quantity. Yeah. Here in question 1, you tell me 2000 units mentioned here. That is what? FG quantity or material quantity? Well, 2000 units is the finished goods quantity. Is that standard or is that actual? That is actual. If 2000 units is my FG quantity actual, FG quantity where do you write? Material quantity where do you write? Remember, FG quantity you always write in the heading here, production. Material quantity you always write in the quantity column here. I repeat, FG quantity will always come in the heading over here. Material quantity will always come in the quantity column here. Yeah, here 2000 units was your FG quantity of the actual. I'll put that 2000 here. That in the question 1, your actual production is 2000 units. If actual production is 2000 units, then standard for actual you have to make for that 2000 units. Standard for actual you have to find for 2000 units. Okay. Further, reading question 1. For the reading question 1, you're given standard usage of direct material and you're given actual usage of direct material. So standard and actual, both you are given. Two types of material you see. Standard usage you are given 2 kgs per unit, 3 kgs per unit, and rupees 4 per kg, rupees 10 per kg. So these are the quantities of A and B consumed in standard. These are the price of A and B in the standard. Quantity, price, both are given. We'll just put that in our format. So quantities 2 kg, 3 kg per unit you are given. Prices you are given is 4 and 10 per kg. Now if the quantities are given, prices are given, can make the amount. 4 into 2, 8, 3 into 10, 30. Total becomes 38. Yeah. Further, look at the actuals then. Actually you are given 3 kg per unit, 4 kg per unit, and rupees 3 per kg, 12 per kg. So again in actual, quantity and price you are given. But look at the difference. In my standard here, if I have written 2 kgs here, 3 kgs here, then this 2 kg material A and 3 kg material B makes it total of 5 kg material. But tell me, as per the standard, this 5 kg material will give how much production? This 5 kg is material. Using 5 kg material, how many units of Fg will you get? Well, it will give me 1 unit of Fg. How do I know that this 5 kg gives me 1 unit of Fg? Well, it is given. It shows, it is given that 2 kgs are needed per unit of Fg. 3 kgs of B are needed per unit of Fg. Meaning these 5 kgs are needed for 1 unit of Fg. Yeah, that 5 kgs is for 1 unit of production. So look, when you write standard as given, I told you, when you write standard as given, the word as given means that whatever you write in this table here should be exactly as given in the question. Don't make any changes there, don't be any over smart there. Whatever you write in this table here will be exactly as given in the question. You put that as given in the question. Done? Yes, that will make your standard as given. But then actual data, what you are given, well, actual you are given as actual quantity you are given 3 kgs per unit, 1 kg per unit. But the actual table that I have made here, am I making an actual table of 1 unit? No. In actual you are making table of 2000 units. Look at the difference. In case of standard, you have two tables. One table is standard as given and one table is standard of 2000 units. While in actual, do I have two tables? Have I made two tables, actual as given and actual of 2000 units? No. So in actual, directly you make actual of 2000 units. So in actual, directly I need you to make the actual of 2000 units. How do you make that? Well, from the question. The question says that actual material A consumed is 3 kgs for 1 unit. Then for 2000 units, actual consumption is how much? You have consumed actually 3 kgs of material A for 1 unit and you have made 2000 such units. So 3 kgs into 2000 units will give my actual consumption of A as 3 into 2000, 6000 kg. Similarly, material B, actual consumption given 1 kg per unit for 2000 units, so 2000 kgs is my actual consumption of B. Total actual consumption therefore becomes 8000 kgs. And actual price per kg you are given 3 per kg, 12 per kg. We'll find out the total. 6 into 3, 18,000, 12 into 2, 24,000. So total 42,000. Total 42,000 becomes my total actual cost. Do you understand that? 42,000 is my total actual cost. Now, this completes the data from the question. This is what I find out from the question, put them in the data table. Now, in this data table, you tell me, can I compare my actual cost 42,000 with standard cost 38? Can I compare this 38 with 42,000 and say that this difference is the variance? Obviously not. Why not? Because this 38 is standard cost of just one unit, while 42,000 here is actual cost of 2,000 units. If this actual is actual of 2,000 units, you need to make standard of 2,000 units. How will you make standard of 2,000 units? How will you identify this standard of 2,000 units? Well, simple. Cross multiply. Cross multiply. That 1 unit standard is this, then 2,000 unit standard should be what? Cross multiply. I say this, that 1 unit of production requires 2 kg standard material A. If 1 unit requires standard 2 kgs of A, then 2,000 units will require how much standard kgs of A? Cross multiply. 1 unit is 2, then 2,000 units will require 4,000 kgs of A. Similarly, 1 unit standard requires 3 kgs of B, then 2,000 unit standard will require 2,000 into 3, that is 6,000 kgs of B, makes that a total of 10,000 kg. Price is still the same. Look, standard for actual and standard. Price will be always per kg. What will change is only the kgs, because with the increase in the units, your kgs will increase. Price does not change. So 4 and 10, same price will give me my total standard cost as 4 into 4, 16,000 here and 60,000 here, makes it a total of 76,000. Yes, this becomes my standard for actual. Now chalo, this discussion completes my data table. I hope you understand the data table here at least. Yes, this discussion completes my data table. Now using the data from this table, we will learn the variance calculations in question 1. Before I do that, chalo, I'll just wait a moment, let you digest the explanations that I gave. Until then, you copy the data table at least. This is your question 1. Please copy the data table. Okay, we'll go on. Now, this was just the data table that I filled up. Now, in this data table, let me explain you the first calculation here. The first calculation, material cost variance. Now, instead of memorizing the formulas, I told you that I will ask you to think by logic. Then run your logic here and tell me that 76,000 here is my standard material cost of 2000 units. 42,000 here is my actual material cost of same 2000 units. So have I incurred extra cost or have I saved cost? Have I incurred extra cost or did I save cost? Well, naturally, you see that I have saved cost. How much did I save? I was supposed to incur material cost of 76,000, but I have actually incurred only 42,000. I have actually saved cost. How much did I save? Well, this difference is the cost that I saved. 76,000 minus 42,000. 76 minus 42 meaning standard minus actual. What I have saved is 76,000 I was supposed to incur minus 42,000 is what I have actually incurred. 34,000 rupees is what I have saved. Well, this becomes my first formula, first calculation here, called as material variance, material cost variance. So this becomes my first calculation here, called as material cost variance. You will not write anything yet. As I told you, you will just wait. I will finish everything. Only then when I tell you to copy, you will copy. Yeah. So this becomes my first variance, material cost variance, MCV. Standard cost for actual production, 76,000 minus actual cost, 42,000, gives you the difference as 34,000. But this 34,000 difference, is that good or is that bad? Well, that is good because you have saved cost. Remember, whenever you mention answer of variance, don't be lazy. Don't be lazy. Don't just write the number. You write the number with all the notations. What notations? You write that this is favorable, so positive. You write that this is in terms of rupees. Don't forget rupees. I've seen majority of the students, you will write everything but you will ignore rupees everywhere. Don't do that. You have to show that 34,000 is rupee value. It is cost. Yeah. So rupees 34,000, positive, favorable. Everything you have to show. You have to show the plus sign. You have to show the symbol F, and you have to show rupee symbol also. Yeah. All that should come in your expression of the answer. Yeah. Okay. So this 34,000 indicates that 34,000 rupees you have saved during the year towards the material cost. Now, just because it is favorable, does it mean you will not analyze this further? No. Whether favorable or whether adverse, in any case you have to analyze. If it is favorable, then also you analyze that if I saved a total 34,000, then what is the reason that we saved cost? In which area did I save cost? Yeah. So if 34,000 is the total cost saved, it could be because of two reasons. Either because I saved more price, either because I could bargain better price from the material supplier, or because I used lesser quantity of material, either because I paid lesser price or because I used lesser quantity of material. Well, that is where I have price variance and usage variance. Price variance, material price variance, shows that whether I paid more price or saved price. Let us start with that price variance first. Now, as I said, formula I will not explain, rather we will derive. From that I will show you the formula. I will show you the formula from the derivation. So look at my data table here. If I ask you that did I pay more price or did I save price? Well, then you don't have an answer, because you will ask me that I'm talking about price of which material. Notice both materials that I have, both the materials have two different prices. Hence my price variance that I calculate here, this price variance which I calculate here will have to be calculated separately for material A and material B. We'll separately calculate for material A, material B, then add it up to get the total price variance. Yeah. So coming back here, tell me for material A, first of all, in case of material A, did I pay more price or did I save price? I repeat, in material A, did I pay more price or did I save price? Well, yes, you see the data table, I have saved price. Now when I say price means the price per kg. When I say price does not mean this amount. When I say price means this price column, price per kg. So material A, did I save price or did I pay more price? Well, material A, I have saved price. I was supposed to pay price of 4 rupees, but I actually paid price of only 3 rupees. Why? Because maybe I could do a better bargain with the supplier. I thought that he will charge 4 rupees, but I did some bargaining and I could get the material for just 3 rupees. 1 rupee is the price that I saved per kg. Is that very clear? Acha. Now if 1 rupee price I saved, this 1 rupee price that I saved, I can show that in my calculation here like this. How come 1 rupee I saved? Well, 1 rupee savings shows like this. 4 rupees price I was supposed to pay, but actually I paid a price of only 3 rupees. So 4 minus 3 indicates that 1 rupee price is what I saved. Acha. But coming back to this table here, yes, 1 rupee price if I saved, you tell me that 1 rupee price that I saved that 1 rupee on how many kgs? On how many kgs did I save that 1 rupee? Did I save 1 rupee on 4000 kg? Did I save 1 rupee on 6000 kg? Or did I save that 1 rupee on the difference of 4000 and 6000? Well, like I said, think with your pure logic. If I saved 1 rupee price in my actual, I saved that on every kg that I purchased, every kg that I consumed. How much kg did I actually use? Actually, I have used 6000 kg. Then haven't I saved 1 rupee on all that 6000? Because yes, all 6000 actual I have purchased at 3 rupees only. So that 1 rupee which I saved that 1 rupee on all my actual kgs purchased. Yeah, that 1 rupee I saved on all 6000 kgs actually purchased. If I saved 1 rupee on all 6000 kg actually purchased, so I write here 6000 into 4 minus 3, that is 6000 into 1 gives me positive 6000 as my price variance of material A. Same way, think in material B. Material B, did I save price or did I pay more price? Material B, I was supposed to pay 10 rupees, but I actually paid 12 rupees. Did I save or did I pay extra? Well, I paid extra. How much extra? 2 rupees extra. I was supposed to pay 10 rupees standard price, but I actually paid 12 rupees actual price. So I paid 2 rupees extra. But did you pay 2 rupees extra on all the 6000 kgs? No. Why not? Because 6000 kgs you have not used. You have used how much? You have used only 2000 kg. If you have used only 2000, so you paid extra 2 rupees on only 2000. Look, one common mistake that you might do here. Look, this 6000 is not purchase and 2000 consumption. No. Everything is consumption here. You were supposed to consume 6000 kg, but you actually consumed 2000 kg. If actually you have used less kgs, so extra price you have incurred on only that 2000 kg. Yeah, you paid extra price, okay, but you paid extra on only 2000 kg. So you paid that extra price 2000, extra price 2 rupees, but you paid that extra on only 2000 kgs. So 2000 into 2, that gives you 4000 adverse. Why adverse? Because you paid extra price. And then you find the net effect here. Add them up, will give you net effect here. Add them up, that gives you net effect here as positive rupees 2000 favorable. Look, in your final answer you will mention all the notations, positive, favorable, rupees, everything you will mention. Yeah, this becomes my material price variance. I hope you understand that. This becomes, yes, your material price variance. It indicates that out of 34,000 rupees that you saved in material cost, out of savings of 34,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees savings happened because of price. Out of total cost saved 34,000, 2000 you saved because of better price, because you saved price of material, because you paid lesser price of material. Is that very clear? Yes, this becomes your material price variance. Next, material usage variance. Now usage variance talks about that how much cost did I save because I used lesser quantity of material. Usage variance says that how much material cost did I save because of using lesser quantity of material, using lesser quantity. But if you see the table here, again you realize that the quantities are different between material A and material B. Hence, your usage variance also needs to be calculated separately for material A and material B. Usage variance also you'll calculate separately for material A, material B. So first for material A, look at this data table and tell me material A, did I save quantity or did I use more quantity? When I say quantity, you will check this quantity columns. And remember, now onwards, you will never compare this standard as given. Whatever questions I ask you, you will always compare standard for actual and actual. Yeah. So comparing that, you tell me that material A, did I use more quantity or did I save quantity? Well, see the table, it seems that you have used more quantity. See the table, it seems that yes, you have used more quantity. You are supposed to consume 4000 kg, but you have actually used 6000 kg. Instead of 4000, you have consumed 6000. You have consumed more kgs. You have consumed more kgs. That is adverse. I'll show that here. We'll show that here that you are supposed to consume 4000 kgs, but you have actually consumed 6000 kgs in material A. Now, if instead of 4000 you consumed 6000, meaning you consumed 2000 kgs extra. Well, now answer this. If you consumed 2000 kgs extra, then that 2000 extra should have costed you how much? Should have costed you. Look at this. You are supposed to consume 4000 kgs. You are supposed to consume 4000 kgs of 4 rupees price. You are supposed to consume 4000 kgs of the price 4 rupees, but you actually consumed 2000 extra. So this 4 rupees wala material, if you consume 2000 extra, then on that 2000 also you should have paid that 4 rupees price. Should have paid. Yes, so on that extra 2000 kgs you must have paid 4 rupees extra price into 2000 extra kgs. So 2000 into 4, you incurred 8000 rupees extra because you consumed extra material. Similarly, material B, notice material B, did I consume more kgs or did I save kgs? Material B, you were supposed to use 6000 kg, actually you used only 2000 kg. So out of that 6000 which you are supposed to use, you actually used only 2000. So you have saved kgs. How much kgs did you save? Well, now you can say savings in kgs, 6000 minus 2000, 4000 kgs of material B you saved. Now, this 6000 kg that you are supposed to use, it was costing 10 rupees. So I say that 10 rupees wala material, you saved 4000 kgs of it. If you saved 4000 kgs of material costing 10 rupees, I repeat, if you saved 4000 kgs of material costing 10 rupees, so that should give you total savings of 10 into 4000, 40,000 rupees. That should give you total savings of this 40,000. And so net effect, if you add this to 8,000 negative, 40,000 positive, will give you net effect as positive 32,000 favorable. This 32,000 favorable becomes your material usage variance. And you can see that now it matches 32,000 favorable here, 2,000 favorable here, total matches with 34,000 favorable here. Yes, it should match. This explains that 34,000 total savings in material cost has happened because of these two reasons. I saved 34,000 material cost because 2,000 rupees I saved in price and 32,000 I saved in quantity. 34,000 rupees savings in material cost happened because 2,000 rupees I saved by paying less price and 32,000 rupees I saved by consuming lesser quantity. This becomes my usage variance. Now look, based on these calculations, I give you formula. Look at my price variance calculation. What I had done here, 4 minus 3, 10 minus 12 is what? Standard price minus actual price. Compare that in your table. 4 was standard price, 3 was actual price. So all that I have done is standard price minus actual price. And outside I multiply here 6,000, 2,000. That 6,000, 2,000 that I multiplied is the actual quantity. Why actual quantity? Because whatever price I saved over here, I have actually saved that price on all the kgs actually consumed. Whatever price I have saved that price on all the kgs actually consumed. If I paid extra price, I paid extra price on only the kgs actually consumed. Look at material B. You paid 2 rupees extra price. But did you pay 2 rupees extra on all 6,000? No, you have paid 2 rupees extra only on 2,000 kgs that you actually consumed. Hence I take actual quantity here. Well, this explains my formula for the price variance. Anyways, I can explain it in another way just by the name. Variance means difference. Price variance means difference of price. Difference of price, hence I take standard price minus actual price. And this difference of price you have paid or you have saved on which quantity? On the actual quantity. This difference of price you have paid or you saved on all the quantity actually consumed, hence you multiply AQ, actual quantity there. Is that very clear? Yes. While material usage variance also we did the calculation, let us convert this calculation into a formula. Look, I told you I don't want you to memorize the formula, rather I gave you calculation, from that we will create the formula. What I did in material A, I asked you that material A, did I use more quantity or did I save quantity? You said that I have used more quantity. Why? Because in material A, 4,000 kgs I was supposed to use. Actually, I used 6,000. I used 2,000 extra. How do you show that mathematically? That was 4,000 minus 6,000. 4,000 is standard quantity. 6,000 is actual quantity. Hence, my usage variance is SQ minus AQ. Hence my usage variance involves the formula standard quantity minus actual quantity. Yeah, variance means difference, usage means quantity. So usage variance means the quantity difference, SQ minus AQ, standard quantity minus actual quantity. Now this difference of quantity, this extra quantity has costed me how much? Well, this extra quantity I have incurred what cost for that? Well, I have incurred standard price on that. So that makes my formula this 4, this 10. 4 and 10. If you see in the table above, 4 and 10 was standard price. If 4 and 10 was standard price, I put that in my formula that MUV is SQ minus AQ, difference of quantity, multiplied by standard price. Standard price, yes, standard price. Done? Now, this explains my formulas and you have the answers. But you might have one question. I know the doubts that you will have. I will discuss your doubts in class here itself. One question that you should have is about this standard price. That why standard price here? Why not actual price there? Because look, in price variance, I have written actual quantity outside bracket. Then in usage variance, why write standard price outside the bracket? Well, because if I write actual price here, look, if I write actual price over here, then many things will go wrong. Let me explain that with material A example only. I'll explain that with taking example of material A. That if I write actual price over here, what is actual price of material A? Material A actual price is 3 rupees. So if I write 3 rupees here, then what's the problem? Notice, while calculating price variance, I showed that in material A, instead of 4 rupees price, you have paid only 3 rupees price, meaning you have already shown over here that I saved 1 rupee price. And this 1 rupee savings, I have already shown on all 6000 kgs. Now look at my table. 1 rupee price, yes, I have saved 1 rupee price on how many kgs? On this 6000 kgs. If I have saved 1 rupee price on 6000 kgs and I have already shown that 1 into 6000 over here, meaning all my price saving is already shown when I showed this 6000. My entire price saving is already shown over here. If my entire price saving is already shown over here, then now I don't have any more savings in price. Now for this 2000 difference, I should not show the price of 3 rupees. Why not? Because look, don't you see that this 2000 difference is my extra material used, and this 2000 difference, isn't that 2000 already included in this actual 6000 here? This actual 6000 kgs contains 2000 extra. This actual 6000 kgs contains 2000 extra, and my simple logic is that if I have already shown the price saving on all 6000 kgs, then out of that 6000, 2000 extra, don't show the savings again. If I've already shown the price savings on all 6000 kgs here, then now for usage variance, consider there is no savings in price. Consider original price, standard price. Do not consider actual price then. Once again, I repeat, listen carefully, and I'll give you notes also for that, because this is something you will keep forgetting. I say that do not use actual price here because my actual price contains savings, because this actual price of 3 rupees contains 1 rupee savings, but you have already shown savings of all the 6000 kgs here. If you have already shown savings of all the 6000 kg here, then now while calculating usage variance, consider there is no savings, consider your standard price only, because actual price contains savings. Now chalo, this was what I explained taking material A as example. Let me give the same thing taking material B as example. In material B, I have taken standard price here. What is actual price of material B? Well, actual price of material B is 12 rupees. So let me discuss that. What will happen? What will happen if I take 12 rupees over here? Well, if I take 12 rupees there, then again wrong. Why? Because this 12 rupees actual price contains 2 rupees extra. This 2 rupees extra. And you have already shown 2 rupees extra on your actual 2000 kgs. Now, if 2 rupees extra you paid in actual, you paid that 2 rupees extra on only 2000 actual kgs. Did you pay 2 rupees extra on this difference 4000 kgs? No. Look, in usage variance, we are talking about the difference 4000 kgs. 6000 minus 2000, this is difference 4000 kg. In usage variance, I am talking about this difference 4000 kg. Now, have I paid 2 rupees extra on that 4000 kg? Obviously not, because that 4000 kg I have not even used. You cannot use actual price over here because these 4000 kgs does not even have an actual price. Understand, this 4000 kgs were not even used in actual. Actually, you have used only 2000. If actually you have used only 2000, meaning this difference of 4000 you have not even used in actual. If you have not actually used 4000 kgs, then that 4000 kgs does not even have an actual price. Actual price does not exist for that 4000 kgs. And look, you cannot argue that if I had purchased extra 4,000, it would have costed same 12 rupees. No, this actual price is the price of only 2000 kg. If you had purchased extra 4,000, it might not have got price of 12. Maybe if you had purchased extra 4,000, you would have got some bulk discount. Look, I told you, never make assumptions in actual. Never estimate actual. Actual, you have only 2000 kgs at rupees 12. So what would have been the price of extra 4,000? You never know. That extra 4,000, you never know what would have been the price of that, because you did not use that 4,000. 4,000 kgs that you did not use does not have an actual price. Only option is that you have to take standard price there. 4,000 kgs that you have not used does not have an actual price. Only option is you have to take the standard price there. Yes, these are my arguments that why have I taken standard price here. Look, ultimately I suggest that for this point here you can memorize that usage variance, you have to use standard price, not actual price. The reason that I gave, the very first reason that I gave is the simplest reason. Very first reason I gave is the simplest reason, saying that do not use actual price there. Do not use actual price because actual price contains some savings, and you have already shown the savings for entire actual quantity while doing the price variance. Do not use actual price here because actual price contains some savings, and you have already shown that savings. You have already shown the price savings in calculating price variance here. So now while calculating usage variance, do not show price saving again. Assume there is no price saving, assume standard price there. Only then your table will tally. Done? Yes, this was one important argument here. This is something that you might keep forgetting repeatedly, and this is something I have also given in the class notes. Let me show you there. Chalo, I've given that in the class notes also, this clarification. Not all notes I'll discuss, only some notes I'll show you. Look at note number 1 and 2. I say that in the formula for MPV, price variance, AQ is multiplied, because if any price is saved, example in question 1, price was saved, then it is saved on entire quantity actually consumed, hence AQ. Yeah, but in formula for MUV, I use standard price is multiplied. In MUV, SP, standard price is multiplied. Why? Because actual price contains some savings, and that savings has already been recognized for entire actual quantity while calculating the price variance. That actual price contained 1 rupee saving, but you have already shown 1 rupee savings on all 6,000 kgs while calculating the MPV. Hence now while calculating MUV, consider there is no price savings, hence use the standard price. This was the argument I gave, and this I have already written in the class notes here. Look, in this chapter, at most of places, I will not make you write or dictate any notes because I have given you some class notes over here. The reason I am giving you printed notes here is because even if I dictate, some of you will be dumb enough to wrongly write the notes. The notes that I give here has some specific words that I need you to follow. Please, because of that, I am giving you the exact wordings over here. You change some words, the entire meaning will change. You don't need to memorize these notes. These notes are for your understanding purpose. I hope you understand that. I hope you understand that. Why have I used standard price in usage variance? Done? Yes. Okay. So with this argument right now, I'll keep a halt over here. I need you to first copy down these 3 variances first, then further 2 variances I'll explain. As of now, just copy down the first 3 variances so that you have time to digest the concepts that I gave you. So copy down the 3 variances, then further 2 I will explain. I suggest that after your data table, you leave some lines for some explanations. After data table, leave at least say 6-7 lines for explanation, then you copy the variances here and you do the calculation, show the variances in exactly the chart format like I have shown. Acha, let me also clarify one thing for this chapter especially. Look, when I tell you to copy things from the board, copy things from the screen, please copy exactly how you see over here. Do not be lazy. Copy exactly how you see over here. Look, I know the places where you will make mistake. I know the places where you will go wrong. I know the places where you make stupid silly mistakes. I know the places where you will have doubts later. The way I show my presentation here is considering what doubts you will get later. So please, it is my request, when you copy from the screen, please copy exactly how you see over here. Don't be lazy. Copy exactly how you see over here, because if you copy wrong, if you even copy the format wrong, you will get confused later and then you will have problems later. Yeah, then don't ask me questions for that. Yeah, so please copy exactly how you see here. Trust me, if you copy exactly how I explain over here, then you will not have any doubts later. You will definitely not have doubts if you copy correctly here. Yeah, so please do copy exactly how I have shown over here. Okay, you can pause the video if you are not yet finished writing. I will just explain the two variances further. You can pause the video now. Okay, we'll go on. The next two variances, well, I will explain them with one example. Yeah, listen to this example. These next two variances, you see that I have named them as material mix variance and material yield variance. Well, these two variances, mix variance and yield variance, are subcategories under the usage variance. They are subcategories within the usage variance. Now usage variance right now I have is 32,000 favorable, and mix variance, yield variance are the further reasons that why is this 32,000 favorable. Why did I save 32,000 rupees? Uska further two reasons. Now this shows that 32,000 rupees I have saved with respect to the quantity. Now what is the reason I would have saved 32,000 rupees? Well, chalo, to understand that, I create one example with this data of question 1. I create one example with the data of question 1. You have standard for actual, you have actual. Now imagine, as if say, just for example, don't take this example as a reality. Example, let's say, imagine if I am a dudwala, milkman. It is my business of milk supply. If for example I am not into that business, just taking an example. So if I am into the business of milk supply, dudwala, and I'm supplying milk to hundreds of houses like your houses, I'm supplying milk to hundreds of houses like you, and at the end of the year I say, at the end of the year I am saying that in my milk supply business, listen to this, at the end of the year I am saying that in my milk supply business I have saved 32,000 rupees in my milk supply business. I have saved 32,000 rupees in my milk supply business. You tell me, what could be the reason that I have saved 32,000 rupees? What could be the reason that I saved 32,000 rupees? Well, two reasons. Either I saved cost in my milk supply business because I did some adulteration. Adulteration meaning I mixed more water into the milk. Yeah, because if I mix more water, then it will save me cost. Or because I have given wrong measurement of milk to you. For example, if you ask me to give 1 liter milk, but I give you only 800 ml milk. Imagine I am giving you milk. I come to your house with those huge milk cans, and I have a measuring can. This measuring can looks like a 1 liter can, but when I fill it up and pour it in your vessel, it gives out only 800 ml. You feel that it is 1 liter, but actually I have given you only 800 ml. Yes, this is some fraudulent activity that I do. Yes, so if I am doing such fraud, then it means that whenever you ordered 1 liter, I gave you only 800 ml. Isn't that one of the reason I saved my cost? Yes, plus that 800 ml which I have given to you, that 800 ml which I gave you, that 800 ml also contains more water mixed inside. That 800 ml also has more water mixed inside. Now this becomes my second reason why I saved cost. These are the exact two reasons here. Mixing more water is example for this mix variance, and giving you lesser quantity itself is my yield variance. Look, I told you this example is a very unrealistic example. Yes, it is unrealistic, but it is just helping me to explain my formulas here. It will also help you to remember these formulas. Yeah. Within that same example, let me fit the numbers over here. Say for example, at the end of the year, total I was supposed to supply 10,000 liters of milk. I'm taking example of milk supply, so instead of kgs I will say liters. I was supposed to supply total standard 10,000 liters of milk, but because my measuring can was fraudulent, I have actually supplied only 8,000 liters of milk. Yes, this is one of the reason I saved cost. This is my first reason why I saved cost. I'll show that here, that I was supposed to supply 10,000 liters, but I actually supplied only 8,000 liters. So how many liters did I save? I saved 2,000 liters. Saved matlab positive. I saved 2,000 liters Isn't this one of the reason I saved some cost? Yes. And this 2000 liters that I saved, after saving that 2000 liters, the remaining 8000 that I have given to you, this 8000 also has more water mixed up. This 8000 that I have actually given is adulterated. Yes, so that we will talk about later. But this 2000 that I have saved, well, this 2000 that I saved, how much money did I save because of that? Well, 10,000 liters I was supposed to give you, it was supposed to cost me 76,000. So if 10,000 liters was costing 76,000, so 2,000 liters that I saved, didn't I save that 2,000 out of this 10,000? Yes, I saved 2,000 out of that total 10,000. Now 10,000 was costing 76,000, so on an average it was costing 7.6. How did I get that 7.6? It is 76,000 divided by 10,000. 76,000 was total cost, 10,000 was total quantity, so average rate is 7.6. So if average rate is 7.6, meaning I have saved 2000 kgs costing rupees 7.6. I saved 2000 liters costing rupees 7.6. That gives me total savings of 7.6 into 2000, positive rupees 15,200 favorable. This is called as my material yield variance, MYV. This is nothing but your material yield variance. I'll show you the formula later. This is absolutely your material yield variance. I'll show you that in the formula later. But this explains that material yield variance is my savings in cost because of what? Because of savings in total quantity. Yield variance indicates savings in a cost because of savings in total quantity. Look, I did not take the difference of material A or material B quantity separately. Rather, I have directly taken difference of the total. Yield variance indicates savings in cost because of savings in total quantity of material. Hence, my formula for yield variance, you can now see, is average standard price into total standard quantity minus total actual quantity. TSQ stands for total standard quantity. TAQ stands for total actual quantity. Now total standard quantity means this standard quantity total 10,000. Total actual quantity means actual quantity total 8,000. Yeah, this total standard quantity in my question here, total standard quantity in my question here is 10,000. Total actual quantity here in this question is 8,000. So my material yield variance indicates that how much total quantity did I save. Total quantity I saved 2000 kg. But if I am taking difference of total quantity, then the price that I multiply will be which price? The price that I multiply, will that be price of material A or price of material B? No. If I am taking savings in a total, then the price that I take will also be price of the total. That price of total is called as average standard price. When I say average standard price, it is not average of 4 plus 10 divided by 2. It is not 7. 4 plus 10 divided by 2 will give you 7. Well, that is simple average. I don't want simple average. What I want is this average. This average is nothing but weighted average. We will call that as average, but basically it is weighted average. Average, remember my concept about weighted average method. Weighted average means the concept of mixture. So when I say average over here, when I say average standard price, it means the standard price of the mixture, standard price of the total. Standard price of the total in that is 7.6 into 2000 gave you answer as positive rupees 15,200 favorable. This becomes your material yield variance. Yeah, and then the material mix variance. Well, if yield variance indicates that total quantity saved, then mix variance indicates that now within the actual quantity, how much mixing did I do. Yield variance here shows that I have supplied you lesser quantity of the product. Mixed variance, yield variance shows that I have supplied you lesser quantity of the product, but within that lesser quantity, within this lesser quantity 8,000 also, within that 8,000 also I have mixed, within that lesser 8,000 also I have mixed more of water. I supplied lesser milk, I supplied lesser quantity, that is my yield variance, but within the lesser quantity I have mixed more water, that is my mix variance. So within that 8,000, I am repeatedly saying within that 8,000 which I actually supplied. Now within that 8,000 also, look at this, within that 8,000, see what I was supposed to give you and what I have actually given you. Tell me, within this 8,000, how much of water and milk was I supposed to give you? Look, if I had given you 8,000 liters of good quality product, good quality milk, would it contain any water? Yes, even the good quality milk will contain water because it is a liquid. Being a liquid, it will definitely have water content. If you remove entire water, then it is not milk, it will become milk powder. Yeah, I'm not supplying milk powder, I'm supplying milk. So if when even the good quality milk will contain some water at least, so ideally it should have contained 4,000 water and 6,000 milk, 4:6. Ideally it should have contained water and milk in the ratio 4:6. Ratio Ideally it should have contained water and milk in the ratio 4:6, but actually what I have given, 8,000 contains water and milk, contains 6,000 water, 2,000 milk, so it actually contains water and milk in the ratio 6:2. उल्टा हो गया रेशियो, देखो, ideally I was supposed to give you 4 water and 6 milk, less water more milk. Actually what I have given you is 6 water and 2 milk. I have given you majority water only, few drops of milk are there, that's it. Naturally, doesn't that save me cost? Yes, it will save. Yeah. Now tell me, before I give the further working, tell me, in this example itself, why does mixing more water save me the cost? Why does mixing the water save me cost? Well, mixing the water will save me cost because water is the cheaper product. Out of milk and water, you see here that water is priced at 4 rupees, milk is priced at 10 rupees. So what I was supposed to give you, imagine if that 8,000 liters was given of good quality, if I had given you that 8,000 good quality, then that 8,000 would have contained water and milk in the ratio 4:6. If that 8,000 was of good quality, it would have contained water and milk in the ratio 4:6, that is 3,200 and 4,200 water and milk. But actually what I have given you is 8,000 in the ratio 6:2. Actually what I have given you is 8,000 in ratio 6:2, that is 6,000, 2,000, 6,000 water and 2,000 milk. So ideally I should have given you less water more milk, but actually I have given you more water and less milk. Doesn't that save cost for me? Yes. Let me show you some calculations there. So if I put this in a calculation, it seems that water I have given you more, milk I have given you less. Yes. How much extra water did I give you? 3,200 minus 6,000. How much extra water have I given you? Well, I have given you extra water 2,800. So extra water consumed is 2,800. 2,800 is extra water consumed, but against that milk I have given you less. How much less milk did I give? Well, milk I have given you less, same 2,800. So 2,800 I gave extra water. Against that 2,800 milk I saved. So if I saved 2,800 milk and extra 2,800 water I gave, doesn't that make the net effect 0? Doesn't this make net effect as 0? Well, no, net effect will not be 0 because of the price. Look at the price. Water that I saved, sorry, milk that I have saved, 2,800 milk I saved. Milk that I saved is costing 10 rupees. And water that I have given you extra was costing only 4 rupees. Water that I gave you extra costing only 4 rupees. Milk that I saved costing 10 rupees. So I can see that, you can see that 2,800 milk that I saved me 28,000 rupees. Against that 2,800 water that I gave you extra costed me 4 rupees, that is 11,200. So net effect minus 28,000, net effect gives me 16,800 favorable. Net effect, I have saved positive rupees 16,800 favorable. Net effect positive 16,800 favorable. This 16,800 favorable becomes my yield variance. And in fact, this entire calculation here itself is the formula for material yield variance, sorry, mix variance. This itself is my formula for material mix variance. Now notice the formula. Exact same thing I'll show you in the formula. Dekho, my formula here for mix variance says that material mix variance is standard price. Standard price in my question here is for material A and material B. Standard price is 4 and 10 multiplied by total actual quantity in standard mix. SM stands for standard mix. TAQ stands for total actual quantity. Remember this 8,000 here is total actual quantity. Please write that in your data table also. This is something you will keep missing out. Why is this called TAQ? Because it is actual quantity total. This is my total actual quantity, and the formula says that you first take total actual quantity in standard mix. The word mix means ratio. You first take TAQ in standard mix, then you take TAQ in actual mix. Now when I say standard mix, mix means ratio. I'll mention that here, that SM AM means standard and actual mix, where the word mix means ratio. Please do keep mentioning whatever I show you on screen here. Mix means ratio. Ratio of what? Ratio of quantity. Yeah. So now if I say that my formula is TAQ in standard mix, TAQ in my case was 8,000, total actual quantity was 8,000, and if I want 8,000 TAQ in standard mix, standard ratio is standard ratio of quantity, that is this 4:6. So TAQ 8,000 in standard ratio 4:6 will give you 3,200 and 4,800. Yes, 4:6. Minus, it says TAQ in actual mix. So minus is again TAQ. Well, TAQ is same 8,000. Look, you notice that my mix variance here is not a difference of quantity. It is mix variance. Variance means difference, mix means ratio. It is a difference of ratio, difference of mix. If my price variance was standard price minus actual price, quantity variance was standard quantity minus actual quantity, hence mix variance is standard mix minus actual mix. You notice on both these sides here, my quantity is the same, TAQ, 8000, 8000. But first I take 8000 in 4:6, then I take 8000 in actual ratio. Actual ratio, actual mix, you don't need to calculate. The actual ratio of 8000 here is 6000 and 2000 itself. Actual ratio of 8000 are the actual values itself. Yeah, so actual ratio of 8000 are the actual values itself, 6000 and 2000. And now if you notice here, this calculation is exactly same as this explanation which I gave you earlier. The example about milk and water was just to convince you the name that mixing the cheaper material will give me savings in cost. Conclusion, mix variance indicates what? Two sentences I give you, listen. Mix variance indicates that how much is my change in cost because of change in ratio of the material used. Mix variance indicates that how much money did I save because of change in the ratio of materials used. Here I saved total positive rupees 16,800 favorable because of change in the ratio used. Or chalo, one more interpretation, mix variance I can also interpret by saying that mix variance indicates that whether I used cheaper material more or expensive material more. If my mix variance here is positive, positive here indicates what? Positive indicates that I mixed more water. Now, why does mixing water save cost for me? Well, mixing water saves me cost because water is a cheaper material. So conclusion, mix variance is positive when I mix more of the cheaper material. Mix variance will be negative when I mix more of the expensive material. Mix variance positive indicates that I have consumed more proportion of the cheaper material. Mix variance negative would indicate that I have consumed more proportion of expensive material. If I have consumed more of the expensive material, naturally your cost will increase, adverse it will give. Done? Yes, this is my mix variance. Look, this explanation about mix variance I will give you repeatedly one more time again because I know it will be a little confusing, but as of now this is the explanation. This is how I get the formula for mix variance. Done? Yes. First I need you to copy this explanation that I gave below the table here, because that will help you to understand and remember the concept more better. And then I'll ask you to copy the calculations formula also. Yeah, first you copy this. The session has got extended today. I'm sorry for that, but we had to complete this concept. But if you're not yet done writing, please do pause the video. I will scroll further for those of you who are done writing this example. You've already written price and usage variance. Please do copy mix variance. Do copy this mix variance, this yield variance, and these notations here. Trust me, you will feel more confident in the formulas after practicing some more questions. This chapter you will never feel confident with the first example. You will feel more confident after some more practice. We'll be practicing many questions here in the chapter. Yeah. And this explanation about the formulas that I give in materials, I will give you a revision for that in my next session again. So stay happy with that. You'll be getting a revision for that later in the next session itself. Please pause the video if you have not yet been finished writing. I will be ending the session. You pause the video, complete the writings, then you can stop the video. Yeah, that's all for now. That's all with this session. We'll continue with this revision and new questions in the next session. Bye bye.